So I think we are on the 50th. Huh? Okay. This is our first time of this year? There was one other time this year. Okay, this is second time. This is the reason why we're not finishing. Anyway. Okay. From my side? Oh, good, good. Here I can hear? Okay. Here I can hear. Okay. Simon, can you hear me well?
Yeah, it was, yes, it was a little distant, but Taya mentioned it in the chat and now it's fixed, so it's great. Yeah, it's clear now.
Because due to the internet connection, there will be some interference
Yeah.
or the breakdown. Okay, anyway. A few sentences I will say in the Tibetan. 다 단다 가지고 something 갑수 아니 쪼다 말하죠. 셈 쾌용부 써야 될야. 아니 이게 말하죠. 롱 가소리 아니 중국의 소배 돈에 아니 셈 찬용지야도 소보다 남자들이 지난 좀 아주를 캐요래. 다 개체주의 셈 말하죠. 신의 공백가라 아니 셈 10월 내마 토요 조디 중앙의 교원이 그 나는 셈 7월 쳐야 돼. 셈 7월을 쳐야 돼. 조디 아니 그조 착백이 초인도 잠배 셈디 아니 강나 셈다 녀와다 셈디 강화를 공지 쳐봐 대입 초를 봐 줘야 돼. 셈기 춘이래. 근데 인도 잠배 다 단다 션디데베기 계속 좀 쉬어라기 아니 단다 다도 둠베드 나무야 아니 개버버 개버 예배 나라야다 아니 좋은 대차기 내부된다 송도 봐 버전스는 안조 대차 독송 지지 나반나시 이 나라네 컨트롤에다 카두기 내부된야 믹스케 요 말에 조 차고를 내부된야들이 저정가 차고를 내부된야들이 아니 삼로당당 르버드 니시지 착베기 아니 지기 이도원 망보지 통과 텔레데네 이로원zel 타바도 조다당 텔레데니 아니 디 조다시기 시디 아니 얘기 어서래 이도원zel 타바도 조다샤 세지 어디 용도 잠베 다 단다 신행 란주기다 아니 미상와라 짱을 준비 토네 아니 단다 랍제티 아주 삼바당당들 감당도와 어디 지난 직도나다.
And so here, when we're sort of looking into the this chapter, particularly this chapter 8, but also in relation to the previous chapters, but this chapter 8 here, where Shantideva is talking about this topic of meditative absorption, the sort of kind of concentration of mind. And the main sort of purpose of this is to be able to help us to be able to sort of create a more sort of relaxed and spacious mental environment. And also in the sense to also in terms of the sort of subtle wind energies and also the elements of our body, the elements of our body. So the subtle wind energies and the elements of our body, and the sort of purpose of this kind of practice is meditative concentration practice is to help us balance out those things. So I think that all of you understand this quite well. So when we try to focus our mind, particularly in relation to the practice of calm abiding, shamatha, then there are generally two faults: the fault of kind of laxity or sinking, and the fault of agitation. But both of these have the effect of drawing our mind away from its kind of what we could say is a natural state, drawing our mind outside in a kind of distracted way. And the main thing that causes this problem is attachment. And so, as much as we can sort of place our mind closely, sort of be able to sort of hold our mind closely, then the less it will sort of get distracted away or drawn away from what is essentially the mind's nature. And Shantideva in his text, The Way of the Bodhisattva, in a little bit in chapter 7, but also really in chapter 8 here, is giving us the antidotes to attachment. Because when we speak about the three poisons, we say attachment, the phrase in Tibetan is the attachment in relation to the three poisons, so this attachment which is included within the three poisons. Well, attachment is in a way the sort of primary one, because anger in itself, here that what we're talking, the antidotes we're talking about here are not antidotes that are directly counteractive towards anger. They're more antidotes which are applied in order to reduce our attachment. And one of and what attachment really, the function that attachment really is that all of the things that we encounter, we see them in a manner which appears as pleasant or attractive towards us. But then what we do is over exaggerate any possible positive sort of qualities, over exaggerating something, and then we become further attached to this. So, with the basis of our attachment may appear to us to be in pleasant or attractive in some way, we over reify or over exaggerate the qualities of that and become really strongly attached to it on the basis of that over exaggeration. And this is the way that it leads us then to have our misconstrue the way things are, so that then we take things, for instance, which are sort of foul or unclean, to then be clean. So here the primary thing is attachment, which is causing that problem. So that's what Shantideva is talking mainly about in the 8th chapter.
Even though we say these out of these three poisonous mind, the attachment is our kind of a more urgent thing to take care of. Because whether the aversion or the attachment, it's based on ignorance mind. That's the very underneath thing. Very hard to realize that. But the very great news is nobody in this world does not like anger. We have always an excuse right after we have this emotion. Oh, Tia cannot hear me? Just maybe I will hit this one. Is it better, Tia? Okay. Perfecto. Oh, okay. Okay. Even though what was I saying? Something about attachment.
Attachment and ignorance. Yeah, ignorance.
Yeah, based in the mind. Yeah. It's a very underneath. It's hard to identify. No. But why you really wanted to identify this ignorance mind? before to dig out something, you need to feel, unless I really wanted to eliminate this ignorance mind, then the first thing you really have to come to accept the discrepancies of the attachment, for sure. That's really hard. I don't know about you, but for myself, it's really hard to see when you are on the full level of the attachment. And at the time when this attachment grows very strongly, and then it is hard to accept this is attachment and this is disturbances, because it's a kind of, you feel it's based with some kind of a pleasure. That's why it's called attachment. You are attached to something that you like it. So I have never heard in a relationship somebody say, I love you very much, but nobody will say with a lovely rose in his hand and giving to her, I have a strong attachment towards you. I think this date will not go long well. I think they know for sure it is not going to. It's really true, actually. It's really true. But that you really don't want to bring that out. But you say that I care about you. Okay. And then as Shantideva will go very, very strong graphically there, because it's really true, you really don't know where you are really attached to. That's the biggest problem. It's really, you feel like, oh, I feel he's so attractive, she's so attractive, so beautiful. But Shantideva will, because a person who is meditating, he's not like for a kind of beginner level. Once he go into the retreat, he isolated himself from the world, and then there's no kind of like a switch on button, like now I'm disconnecting from the world, you cannot press anything. So automatically something will come up, and more you're in the mood of meditation, all the rubbish will come to you like so strongly. So a friend of mine one time, he said, if you cannot remember what you're supposed to remember, then if you do your commitment, everything will come to you. So that's the power of when you sit down and relax, and all the things will come in you, of course. So at that time, when you have a full control of power to look into where you are really attached to, and then you need to have a power to say, this is now disturbance, this disturbs my meditation, and then you can say, I call this is a what we call it normally, distraction. Normally we say, oh, distraction, but you like the distraction. But once you feel like one master told his student, saying, when you are meditating on Avalokiteshvara, if you while meditating on that Buddha, and you start thinking about Tara, this is also distraction. That's a teaching. So there you need to not just to feel, oh, this is a distraction, but you strongly what your one side of your mind is telling you, you really need to feel it very strongly. This is distraction. And then, of course, when you look into your attachment, then you feel it, this is really attachment. It is really drowning me into the samsara, into the suffering. Then you're already strong. You're already strong. Normally, we don't do that, and we have all the commitment and then do a retreat, and then not facing any kind of the negative emotion, and then you wanted to make everything perfect. Then there's a problem. How much you gain realization? You have built something on the foundation of the three poisonous mind. So then there's a problem always. There's Tibetan word called dutup. In Sanskrit, it's called siddha, mahasiddha, siddha. That siddhi, the word, it is realization. So many people think like if somebody got a clairvoyance and then he feels like a strong energy of somebody else, and he can talk about future lives, he can see beyond something, and people consider, oh, he is Mahasiddha. But how Mahasiddha is recognized in the teachings of the Buddha, and especially the teachings of the Buddha Maitreya, in Abhisamaya Alankara, there it said very clearly that the person whose realization towards the emptiness becomes stronger, and then his negative emotions go what we call
Reduce.
less reduced, reduce. There it is the sign of the realization. That's called the siddha. So that we need to keep in our mind. So why we do retreats? For that actually. Why we are doing retreats? It's not like you have a commitment from your teacher and then you need to complete it. And sometimes we feel like if I don't do it, I'm not keeping the samaya very nicely with my teacher, my guru. And then plus I need to go to hell. That is not the way we should do our practices. That most people do that because there's nothing for you there. And then why will you do? And that's why sometimes the word, the commitment, it is too strong. But then I think the connotation, maybe people should check the samaya. Samaya in a Tibetan, it's called tamzik. It is more like each and every day you keep this kind of a commitment or this vow or this samaya, you have to feel more near to your guru, not physically, but some kind of the realization of what teacher is talking, that you are feeling towards much more stronger. And then nobody could, even you cannot say, I have no time for doing the commitment. Because we don't feel that, and we feel we are kind of pushed to do it. And we are like children. We don't like somebody tells us what to do. And out of fear, sometimes we do, but it does not last long. Oh, so now, all thing why I'm saying this, could put back to the where a great Shantideva here in the meditation, the 8th chapter. This particularly on the 8th chapter, I think there is no more other text than bringing strong opponent towards attachment than this. Opponent, is that right word? Antidote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Opponent is also fine.
Okay. Do see that on the 50th, Xingbi regna jambayi, nye la gaur mi chepara, tingan zawa mayin she, denden mizang wala mongs, 50, because now I think, Simon, you read it because you have the text. No problem. The Kelsey.
Cotton too is soft to the touch, but while I find no sexual delight in a pillow, I think that a woman's body does not emit a putrid odor. Lustful one, you are confused as to what is unclean.
Mm-hmm. No.
I'll just read it so that
Okay.
in case it's online. So it says, cotton too is soft to the touch, but while I find no sexual delight in a pillow, I think that a woman's body does not emit a putrid odor. Lustful one, you are confused as to what is unclean.
다 단다 디 조디 기치슈 딩란즈게 안에 차슴 디나로네 안에 티벌 템베 도차 슈침부 제베 갑려야 인 티베 도차데 아 렉바 렉발 때니 연구유도 잠베 아니 다디 밀 게제 티베 게제 말에 소소소소리야 디 게제 티지 아니 딘티기 아니 말이야 단데 지기 쇠마 투비기 착심들이 슈침부 제야디 말라 착심디기 가릴레 파티버 지기도 슬랍도 잠베 레젤 티버 지기도 대응하게 나는 레젤 티버 지기도 슬랍도 잠베 아니 레젤디 아니 장와도做니기 나로네 쪽바지레도 마도 장아지레미도 시지 도선 딜리야다 마주마손에 디 수수기 대차당 수수니 버루리야 아니 지가서 디스커스 치고 있으니까
And so when we're sort of talking here in this verse, it's particularly talking about, for instance, the mind of attachment, but also in relation to sort of attachment in relation to sort of sexual experience. And what we find is in relation to that, this kind of attachment is really arises if in relation to the sense of kind of the physical sensation of touch. Of the physical sensation, of touch, and so this physical contact or touch, and so this is not something we just sort of have to sort of listen to, or we can think about. We can see this in our own experience. We can ask ourselves the question when for instance, our attachment towards sexual things comes up, then we see within the five objects of the five kind of main sense objects it occurs most strongly in relation to physical touch, and this and so what we have to do is these physical sensations, and what we have to do is really debate or have a conversation between ourselves and our attachment to sort of look into this more deeply, to question this, in relation to how our mind is attached, particularly in relation to sexual matters.
Dan jawa nalola xingbe ren jamba ingye la yang pimi ji recha tara gawar mi chebur pimi yulu la za shindu tiu ngawa dan zakwa ma yinba no shi dundin mi zangwa la zangwa mo ne chabar che do se digi jawa di ta lo mo che ta ke chi shu di tangi ngye la laban na shin ani kirangi recha ani gugudu se ge recha de so di ani ranzu gi mizang we yu lu le ya ani rebar che gi samlo di shukshin bu ji duwa se de du zambe shine nyen le ya ranzu da inji ge le ya la lust se du zambe ta chepe to ja shukshin bu ji de du zambe di rang shin ma to zama njame wa ya chi di nyen la ma jame ya dire duwa di chu de nyen
Rimshi Yangachik Songro na yapa ratu masong.
다 디기 단다 제바디 나로라 제바디 차상 로 뭐, 제베 나로라 단다 된다 가르레스 라비나 아니 란주기 다 되차 기비 갑라야 아니 되차기 땅 안주면서는 세디 마소네 아니 콜라 가르고 요레스도 렉차도 고고 요레스 렉차디 키랑 레버 체시기 시디 아니 미상한다 땅원이 나는 미상한지래도 와 슬라본도 점베 이니 당보디 샘들 흘려 당보 차야 돼 단디 켈레마 토베 간이 주도 좀 디데스 흘려 차도 와
So what the commentary, the sort of main thrust of what Gyaltsab J's commentary is talking about here is that in terms of looking into the sort of when it's using this example of cotton as soft to the touch, and what it's looking into is the basis of these physical pleasant, what we call pleasant physical sensations, and in terms of sexual contact, and it's looking and so. But what we do when we look into that, the basis of that contact is that the basis of the contact between the two, the basis of the that pleasurable contact which brings on the attachment, the basis when we look into it, whether it's clean or it's unclean, actually it's unclean. But to approach this, we also need to approach it in a relaxed sort of in a relaxed state of mind, because initially, if we just to hear the fact that basis of contact is actually unclean is a little bit difficult for us to accept. So we need to approach it in a more sort of approach it from a more relaxed state of mind.
디체 다 되는 디 빼들이야 아니 싱베로 소보 저런 전부 점신 되베 있나 아니 싱베로 소보도 저 전부 요래 아니 싱베도 저리야 롱체체 되는 지기도 와 아니 다 지기 땡 게론도 지나 아니 저런이야 비메기 지기 르라바도 고구미도 와스 디기 배송도 지기도 와
And so the analogy that's being used here in this verse is to say to us, is to sort of argue us, well, if cotton here, particularly if you're saying that the reason that you're sort of getting attachment towards another one's partner is an attachment to that sort of physical sensation of the softness of touch, or the very attractive physical sensation of touch in relation to one's partner. If that's what you're saying, this sort of soft feeling, gentle soft feeling, then in that case, since Shantideva then argues with us, well, in that case, the things such as cotton also have that very soft touch. So there's no particular reason to be attached to the physical contact with one's partner, but we could just as easily be attached to cotton, and then you wouldn't need a male or female partner because you can get that physical sensation from something like cotton.
Now this their modern technology has improved a lot, so no need to cotton and something. Maybe like this artificial, I don't know, kind of what's that? The AI or this physical like robot just by that. So that was actually here what we shouldn't mixed up with is, it doesn't mean that sex is bad, okay? Because if we say sex is bad, negative, then there's whole debate. So then the marriage is bad. Then out from this marriage, children are not gonna happen. So we shouldn't mix this up. This more people use so much energy, very strong energy towards, for only this reason. Waste so much time, money, everything there. And once you do this, that person never get tired and spend so much time on that. So that for that particular person, this is the teaching. So it does not mean sex itself is bad. So some people go, then Buddha didn't say when the Tsawashi, the four roots. How do you translate the four?
Yeah. Tawashita, the four roots. Yeah.
Four roots. For the monks and nuns, Buddha said that is not allowed. For the lay people, he didn't say this is not allowed. He said the sexual misconduct severe.
Yeah, sexual
that's the one.
misconduct. Yeah.
He didn't say to the lay people don't do sex. So clear this out. This is the some kind of maybe some people mix these things up. 싱별에는 잠바이 어디체 다 되는 거 중 어지디 된된 냠바 몽바남 싱별에는 잠발랑 녀보 쳐버 미누시 텔라 토와타도 체스 51 Simon.
Thinking that they cannot sleep without this cotton, although it is soft to the touch, confused, negative, and lustful people become angry towards it instead.
So that's a very clever debate within yourself. It's like, don't get attached to this, now attached to this, then your heart will never listen to you. That's very nice technique, actually. To see very clearly this how much attachment blinds you away. So that's why it's at the last it says the become angry towards it. So because it is really now it opens the discussion. Sometimes when we wanted to discuss with some your friends, then when they are so maybe arrogant, and then we debate with them, then once they feel like, okay, now I have said whatever I wanted, now let me hear what you have to say, because he has already given his best position towards you. So now he is ready to listen what's coming up. So this is how Shantideva teaches you how to open your position to the attachment. Now it becomes so weak. So very kind. This is how the monks, and especially people who goes into retreat, and when they have a strong attachment, this is how they should be applying this kind of a discussion towards yourself, I guess. Okay, so we don't have much time today, so we stop here, and now I'm wrapping things up now. 다디나는 개치슈딩 란조 차베기 크두기 냐바디 아주 하고토그리 디 텐시 템포지 템베이나 아니 땡땡디 용그리 이나양 다 단다 디지어레 차바제베 qabla 드로탁세기 시디간다 드로탁세 시시고 바다 베낭 란주 지기 미질이야 차베이나 미디 드로탁세 시디체 에 미텔라 학벌도 드로타치 난 디데 시보지 도세기 드로탁단지 요레스 일로 원제도 학벌도 드로타바스 베제나로라 디베닝가 심부리 디야 삼라당당 도지 신구 요레스 디송다
So the sort of main point that's we really need to take away from this here is that in terms of the sort of very sort of direct or obvious faults of attachment, then I think that those are things that we can understand quite easily and quite clearly, that if we pay a little bit of attention to these, then we can see the very obvious and direct faults of attachment. But there's a sort of the deeper problem is that for when attachment arises, then in relation to the basis, the sort of the base on which our sort of exaggerated sense of attachment arises. For instance, if we take a person as our basis, for the in which our attachment is arising, but what happens then is we take that person, we over exaggerate the sort of positive qualities of that person beyond, as it says, what it says in the text. The word literally means beyond the measure of qualities or that they possess, beyond the limit of what it actually possesses. So that our attachment, the main thing to understand here is how that attachment over exaggerate on the basis of our object of attachment, and then over exaggerates that and creates an attachment way beyond the measure with which that object of attachment deserves his merits.
다 yilo 원제 지단에 얘기한 송거리 yido 원제를 하버로 줬다고 잠시도 꽤 말해스 가진스는 란주 대바 장야다 아니 참바다 인지도 두조 공백qabla 아니 심진리 상제리 두조를 yido 원제를 하버다고 했지 디 연행이 차네 따야만 보지요 다단다데 안저기 차발에 님부 땜비qabla yido 원제를 하버로 줬다세기 시코랑 다단다 또즈바 카세르다나 드로탁스기 시코랑 녀르야 마랑 저기 축두바 락바페 코랑기 뇌니 시부지기 강라에 떼어봐매봐 코랑기 뇌니 지 여되니 지기 마랑 저기 생기 끼들 디샤체 디강라 아니 신행 아주 도망 보지 따용데 안 저기 교연 통야디 가리감 통과했을 때다 떼스당 얘기 차배 왕기 마랑기 디 지기도 삼삼 요래데 이나야 미 망부지기 락바 가르간 창투고 요마르세도 드로탁시기 시디 코란라 만주 주미 이지긴 드로탁스타도세 디큐니 시에투고 요마리스.
And so this, when we're talking about, one of my teachers was explaining how actually even that way in which we over exaggerate the basis of a phenomena which is the basis of our attachment, and then over exaggerate the sort of positive side of that beyond the measure of which it deserves, even that in itself is not too bad in itself, because there are many in actually in the sort of very in a positive way of doing that. When we are developing things like faith, we're developing love, compassion, those sort of qualities of looking at the qualities of the Buddha or something like that. Then so we're developing faith, love, and compassion. Then we there is a sense when we're practicing that we tend to sort of at the beginning to over exaggerate this from a positive standpoint. So that's actually not a, so it's not necessarily true that a little bit over exaggerating the qualities that something has might be necessarily bad. That's not the case. But here, when we're talking about really relying on the antidotes to attachment itself, so that we are applying antidotes to it, then what is actually happening is that the base, the big problem here is the base. What's not really very well understood is that the base, we are holding that base in a very concrete, solid, kind of self-substantiating way. So we are actually engaging with it as though it doesn't rely on anything else, and is solid and so self-substantial, self-sufficient. And then on the top of that, we are exaggerating the qualities, and then through the process of what is called inappropriate attention, Sumin Nishikin Namdok in Tibetan, inappropriate attention or inaccurate engagement with it, then the attachment comes, and a further over exaggeration comes. So it's easy. I think we understand a little bit, with a little bit of understanding, we can understand that the little bit we've exaggerating the qualities on a basic level, but there's not many who really understand on that deeper level the way in which we are understanding the way that the phenomena actually is, and then applying, then comes inappropriate attention, and then this over exaggeration of attachment. So that process is not so well understood.
So that's the reason when you are going through 8th chapter, now what Shantideva really will try to connect you to the 9th chapter. So there he will always brings you kind of a hint, saying, "Dilavna, ngoda khebar se jorwa, ngoda khebar se de. Pena nyele khebar la ya, ani digi ku docha khorangi khebar dinde la ta ne nga docha ji du, dile dene docha ji sun ko khebar mango ji ta ni docha ji ya di kali ma ka ni ani thamaden docha sin de tendu ke me ba so tu be se ge tuwa dil long do sembe tendu ke me be so gi shiji yore 가르치는서는 계란라 단도에 양 로다스기 시지 단도에 하디샤 로다스기 시디여나 가두이니 단다마다니 흉마 따용고레 예슬라드 아니 신에 아니 셔르빌레우 송체 아니 베다 다도 좀베 당진 자원에메 매버서번시 아니 뇌자지서기 시 아니 그 가르쳐고래 다 나세기 디기 zimba korangi ngol kyen ta chen ma ka ya de ta liu gu na le chin le gu ba.
Yeah, so this is so in the great text it speaks about two things: the kind of entity, the nature or entity, and then the sort of more other kind of characteristics or qualities, something like that, other sort of differentiating qualities of a phenomena in particular. And what we're looking at here is the way in which to completely put an end to our attachment. So on the basis of those sort of what we could say more a little bit more superficial characteristics in the way that which attachment arises, perhaps in chapter 8 is a little bit more like trying to put an end to the forms of attachment which are arising a little bit more in relation to those not at the deepest level, the superficial qualities, and trying to stop each one of those as it's being described here in the text. But actually, are we able to put a complete and utter end to our attachment, to completely remove it and stop it from ever arising again on the basis of that sort of more superficial level? Then that's not very difficult. So what this is leading that's very difficult. So what this is leading us towards eventually is leading us towards the 9th chapter, where we're actually examining things at their kind of fundamental deepest level of their entity or nature, where at the level at which we are talking, let's say, in relation to the attachment to a self, that where we are looking to completely remove from the root the grasping to inherently existent self, to try and so we're seeing the faults at that sort of very fundamental level. They're seeing the seeing the faults in relation to the very fundamental nature of something, and then putting an end to self-grasping, and thence to the attachment at that level, not on the level of a slightly more superficial quality, but at the level of its deepest entity. And so that's how Shantideva is sort of slowly leading us from chapter 8 towards chapter 9.
So now people who are going to practice the chapter 8, the strongest commitment or what you have to do is each and every day you have to watch, bring the awareness. When do you have the attachment? And then you need to be point towards yourself, saying, this attachment, it's really destroying me. Which is hard to point that, because you need to, it's the same thing. If you like ice cream so much, and you know something is destroying you inside, doctor really teaches you not to eat ice cream, you are diabetic, but then still you really enjoying going to your favorite shop, and they are like giving you the best, latest mango ice cream. So then there's a problem. Some will say, I don't care because I like it so much. When will you cry when you meet the doctor? That's the problem. So before going to the doctor, but you could really see when you go to your favorite shop, you say, even though I'm going to eat this ice cream, but I really see this is an obstacle to me. If you can see this, then you are buying something from Shantideva. But mostly what we normally see, we are under the sway of negative emotions. We listen to our teachings of the Shantideva, and then keep it on. Just if you are taking notes, you put it there, and then do whatever you want in your normal life. And then actually you're just not with the Shantideva. So watch your steps. That's it. Okay. So thank you, and we do the dedication. Simon, you have the dedication page?
Yeah, I do. Just one second.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's on the screen.
Okay. I'll read it from the screen. Having thoroughly investigated in accord with all that I have heard, day and night through the four reasonings, mind born of reflection, may this discernment sever all doubts. For the long life of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma. By completing the qualities of the grounds and paths, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. A dedication that follows the Bodhisattvas. I fully dedicate all these virtues to be able to train just like the hero Manjushri who knows reality, and just like Samantabhadra as well. And the dedication that follows the Buddhas. I fully dedicate all my roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best, by all the gone beyond victorious ones of the 3 times, in order to have good conduct. With my heart going out with great compassion, in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread, or once spread have declined, may I reveal this treasure of happiness and aid.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Grazie Tea.